My name is Era Serbu, and this is my husband, Matt Serbu. We are sitting at the Beulah Inn in Beulah, Colorado.
Why are we here?
Yeah.
So we just bought the Beulah Inn. It's a 100-plus-year-old building that is actually very special to us. Actually, her father and grandfather built the bar addition back in the 60s and actually have done many of the remodels to it, and so it's always been a very special building to us. It's actually one of the only restaurants that's actually in Beulah, Colorado. As to why we actually bought it, do you want the short story or the long story, Jeff? The long story? I guess we can go back to why are we here originally in Beulah is about 4 years ago. We actually were supposed to go on our 20th wedding anniversary to Italy, and COVID happened and changed all those plans. Era has family roots here. Both sides of her family are actually from Beulah, Colorado. And so when we asked our kids, where do you want to go since we can't go to Italy? They said, why don't we go to Beulah? So we came down to Beulah and stayed at one of the family houses up here, and just realized how much we love it, how much we miss it here, how special of a place it is for us. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we decided to actually buy our cabin here, which is just up the road. And we've been in Beulah for the last 4 years or so.
Growing up, both my sets of grandparents lived here in Beulah. I would come and spend the summers as a child, and I would stay with my father's parents and sleep there, and then every day I would walk through town and go to my mom's parents for lunch. And they would make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I would visit with them, and they would give me a quarter, and I would walk home and I would stop by the Pine Drive store and buy a piece of candy, say hello to everybody in town, and I loved it. I made lots of friends up here, and it was a place that was special to my heart. My father grew up in Beulah, and my mother's family purchased the property from my grandmother's older cousin. So I'm technically the fourth generation to be in Beulah on my mom's side, and the third generation on my dad's side. Once we had our cabin up in Beulah here, and we watched the Beulah Inn shut down with COVID, it broke our hearts. It broke our hearts that it was shut down. It broke our hearts to watch it starting to fall apart. And Matt started asking me if we could buy it. And I, of course, said no, because we lived in Florida and we were busy with kids and jobs and life. And I said no. So he kept working on me.
Kept working, and then finally, last year, we actually decided to finally get our Italy trip in for our 20th wedding anniversary, and actually got to go do some ancestry searching on my side of the family, and actually got to go to the small village that my family's from, and it just was a life-changing experience. I got to see the archway that has my family name in it, got to see the family compound, got to meet my cousins out there, and see the building that hadn't changed since the 1860s. It was just an amazing, life-changing experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the moment that we just kind of realized we wanted I don't want to call it a simpler life, but just a
more connected
life. Yeah, to the community. The Beulah Inn isn't just about the building. It's more so about the people. It's about the community. Mm-hmm. This is the gathering place for everybody in Beulah that's been here. And finally, after I think just having that life-changing experience in Italy, we came home and I looked at Era and I said, we need to buy the Beulah Inn. We just have to do it.
I finally said yes.
And she finally broke down. And so we finally went through the process and acquired the building here in February.
Right, and I think the biggest point that Matt made that I'd like to elaborate on is it's about the people. And Matt has always had sort of an idea in life that you're entrusted with the people that you come across. In this life, we're entrusted with situations and people that are given to us for our care and our concern. And we just felt with our family connection, my father and grandfather added the bar onto this 100-year-old restaurant in the 60s. We felt that we were connected and entrusted to the Beulah Inn and to the Beulah community. I think the reason that Italy prompted me to have a change of heart was because I saw how important family was and how important community and connection was, and I definitely see and feel that in Beulah. I think it's a special place, and it hasn't changed. That attitude hasn't changed for a really long time, and I feel that we're entrusted with this Beulah Inn, and we're working really hard to bring it back to the community, and we hope to take care of it for the community.
Yeah, and the big piece about being entrusted with something is you recognize it's not yours. It's yours for a period of time, and the goal is to leave it better than you found it. Be that people in your lives, hopefully the 5 minutes or 10 minutes or days or weeks or years that you have with them, hopefully you made their lives better for having them in your life. Same thing with the building. We're entrusted with it. We're the next ones, the next link in the chain, so to speak, and we recognize that. We want to leave it better for whoever takes it over after us, whenever our time is done with it.
Well-
But we're responsible for restoring it and bringing it back for the community, for the people, and that's something that we really take seriously.
We're very excited about it, and the chain of owners of the Beulah Inn has been interesting and tumultuous at times, with a lot of stories and, of bikers and bandits and miners and students, and we feel so lucky to be able to carry on that history, to celebrate that history, and to be able to return the building to a state where it will continue on, and more owners after us can continue on with the history of it and with the town.
Yeah, so a lot of surprises when it came to the building. It actually was in very good shape for a 100-plus-year-old building, but it is a 100-plus-year-old building, and a lot of surprises. In fact, being that it had been empty for 3 years, there was no bug spraying or anything going on that typically happens. So one of the first things we were surprised with was when we were in the bar, we had all this sawdust falling down from the fireplace, from the chimney. Found out we had termites and carpenter ants and wood-eating beetles.
But
Yeah.
the great news was that we caught it right when they moved in. There was no structural damage. There was not even any repair to the original building. What's special about the Beulah Inn is that it's solid wood. It's solid wood that's been cut down from this area, and it's just layers upon layers of that wood. It's not built like some buildings are with, drywall and things like that. It's wood. So once we found out about the infestation, we were able to act upon it, get it treated, and we'll continue on with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Other surprises, being that it is a 100-year-old building, it was made with building techniques from over 100 years ago. And so the support beams were actually 100-year-old tree stumps that
Cedar trees.
cedar trees that were holding up the building. And that might have been great 100 years ago, but we want to make sure that we're preserving the building for long term, not just for a short term. So we had to, reinforce those beams with some metal support beams, and just look at some areas where the stack stone maybe needed to be reinforced as well. So a lot of effort on the foundation work to get that up and running.
Just sort of preemptive work. We want to make sure that we don't get into a situation where we have damage that's irreplaceable, or that we can't come back from. So putting in those beams and reinforcing the floors and the foundation, we're sort of in anticipation of the future. But the actual floor, the structure of the building is in perfect condition
And there've
because
been-
it's so solid.
Yeah, and there have been some really actually cool surprises as well. As we've peeled back the layers, we found the original wood that had, it was actually made from armory wood that actually used to hold the bombs, and we saw the printing on them. We actually have some boxes that have the same printing of the bomb that shows it was an ammunition box, and they were using ammunition wood for that. We actually saw the old wallpaper that was behind some walls when we started to remove some of those, and we were able to preserve some of that too. So a lot of really cool surprises as we've seen the generations that have cared for this building and taken care of it. And we want to try to bring as many of those back and celebrate those wherever we possibly can.
And we also want to bring in some old photographs. We want to work with the Beulah Historical Society to bring in some of the stories so that when people come through Beulah, they're able to learn about our interesting history, because it's very, very special. And I think that Colorado is a state that has a lot of, the pioneer spirit, and I think Beulah definitely represents that.
Yeah.
What else?
I think what's interesting is you mentioned the pictures that we want to have. And of course we want to have pictures of the buildings, but more importantly we want to have pictures of the people, the history. That's what the community is really about, is it's the people. And so the legendary pioneers that have been through Beulah, the Historical Society is helping us with pictures of those that we can hang in the walls. and really celebrate the people that have come before us and share them for the next generation to come.
Yes, an additional surprise is the appliances that were in the kitchen were from the 40s, and they were massive and sturdy, but just maybe not up to today's code. So we had to switch out some of those things. But in order to do that, the wood of the walls and the partitions in the rooms and the doorways had been built around those pieces of equipment. So we actually had to cut them out in order
Widen
to
the doors.
widen the doors in order to change them. But when we did that, we got to see all these cool layers of wood and sort of investigate this building a little bit more.
Yeah. A lot of what we've been doing has been getting things brought up to code. We did lose all of our grandfathering because it had been closed for so long. So flipping the doors, putting in a handicap accessible door. Those are a lot of the things that we spent the first couple of months getting things done on. What's next is finishing up the kitchen, finishing up the bathroom, and finishing up the floors in the main restaurant area. We're actually going to try to preserve the original wood that we have there as best as we can, with some staining and sealing, but really trying to keep that character alive. But those are the last 3 main projects that we have.
Right, and the floor is actually quite special. To bring the building up to fire code, we had to get rid of our wood stoves. They had wood stoves that heated the bar and the restaurant, and that wasn't safe. They were right in the middle of the room, so we removed those. And when we sold the stove that was in the main restaurant, the gentleman that came and bought it was a historical flooring expert. That was his career, which was really cool. And he said that the floors in the main dining room of the Beulah Inn were quite special, that you don't see floors that hold up as well. And he said that all we needed to do was oil them. He said, don't sand them, don't take away from their character, just oil it. So that's the next step. Once we are able to put the bathroom in, there were 2 small, tiny little bathrooms. And we were given permission just to do a single unisex bathroom. It was actually pretty easy because we just were able to take out the wood partition between the 2 rooms. When we did that, we found the surprise of the World War I ammunition crate wood that was the original wood that was used in that portion of the restaurant. But we were able just to take out that partition and open it up and have it done. So a lot of our repairs have actually been quite easy. A lot of our changes just really entail taking down some pieces of wood. There's nothing that we're really having to break through or cut into. There's no plumbing that we're really having to move. So even though it's a big task, it's actually been a little bit easier than we anticipated, wouldn't you say?
I love that you say it's easy because my hands would beg to differ.
Right, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely working hard, but I think we're having fun.
Yeah.
I think we're having fun. And we're also bringing it up to current times. We're going to be using a point of sale service. We have internet. We're going to have ways to basically bring the restaurant up into the 21st century.
That's really important to talk about, actually. With the cost of food going up, I mean, fry oil is 400 times what it was 3-4 years ago. So we don't want to pass that cost on to our customers. I'm an IT guy, so we really want to try to drive as much automation and
keeping inventory, utilizing efficiency, and training our staff to be able to use these computer systems in a way that makes things easier for them.
So setting up the new systems throughout the entire restaurant so that we can keep track of everything well, drive inventory as best as we possibly can. And so that way we're not charging $25 for a burger. We can keep costs where they need to be for the people of Beulah.
But along with that, while we bring in technology, we're still keeping some things the same. We are not changing the looks of the bar at all. The bar looks just like it did. And even though we had to remove the wood stove, we replaced it with an infrared log and a grate so that people still get the homey feeling when they come in from the cold weather. They can stand by the fireplace and warm up. We're trying to maintain the original character of everything because we think it's special. Even though we have this great new patio, the wood that is used to build these tables is old from around the Beulah Inn. So everything has a story here, and we're really excited to learn more about those stories and also to tell some of those stories.
Share them with everyone who comes through.
Hi, it's Era. It's been 5 months since we last talked, and I wanted to give you an update on the resurrection of the Beulah Inn. We've had a lot of adventures since we talked and have completed our construction on the building. We've refurbished every room of the inn and really cleaned it up. Since we talked, we finished restoring the antique floor. We completed the restructure and the refinishing of the bathroom. We updated the kitchen. We included all new appliances. We hired an incredible staff. We completed our licensing. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about that. Since we began, we had to bring up the entire inn to code. And this building is very old. It's one of the original buildings of the area. And we had to do some things to make it safe and clean and healthy, including taking out all of the wood stoves. The building used to be heated by wood heat, and every night during the winter, the owners would come in and restock the wood fireplaces throughout the night to keep the building warm. We, however, had to take those out to bring it up to fire code, and so we replaced it with a furnace and with some infrared heaters in the bar. We replaced it with a heater that looked like a fireplace, because one of the favorite things that locals remembered about the bar was warming up on a cold winter's day next to the fireplace. So instead, we closed off the chimney and inserted an infrared heating element with a grate in front, so it appears to be similar to a fire, and it still kicks out a lot of heat. We had to chip out the doorways of the original building and change the doors to open out instead of in. We had to, we had to replace lots of things in the kitchen. We had to build emergency exits that were safe and a handicap accessible access. That was great timing, because in order to change out the stove from the 1940s, we had to tear a hole in the wall. The stove would not fit out any of the doorways, so it worked out well to cut a big doorway to get the new appliances out and the old appliances out and the new appliances in, and then we were able to transition that into our handicap access. In the kitchen, we had everything professionally cleaned, including the vent hood that had had years of maybe lack of attention, a couple years of a lack of attention, so we had to get that cleaned out, and we replaced everything, all of the flooring throughout the building. In the restroom, we wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. So we put a call out for photos of outhouses throughout the valley. And our goal is to get pictures from every outhouse in Beulah Valley to put in our outhouse. Once we had completed the refinishing of the inside, we had to start our licensing process. I had begun the process in April when we bought the property, but we couldn't get our inspections until we were done. We also had to apply for our liquor license, and in order to apply for the liquor license, we had to get signatures of residents of the area. But Beulah's a little bit of a different place. Normally you would go door to door and have people sign a petition. But residents of Beulah aren't really used to people coming up to their door and knocking on it. So we instead got permission to have people come in, visit the inn, because we wanted to be able to show them what we were doing, and we got their signatures at that time. We needed, there are 720 parcels in this area that we had to cover, and in fact, only about 300 owners. We received 273 signatures, and no people said that they did not want the Beulah Inn to open with a liquor license. We really wanted to show everybody in town what we were doing, because we feel that this is the town's place. It's the people of Beulah's location that they've always gotten together, they've met up with their friends, had a bite to eat, and we wanted them to feel included in the process. So as we worked on stuff, we updated the town through Facebook posts, through signs by the post office where we have our community message board, and we invited residents to come in and see our construction and look at some of the things that we had found and done. As we were taking out the bathroom, we didn't want to disturb any of the original materials. We didn't have to pull out any drywall or move any plumbing fixtures. We had the requirement of making one unisex bathroom. As we began taking out all of the partitions, we found that it was just layer upon layer of hand-cut wood. As we took those out, we found that the bottom layer of the bathroom was made from really cool old wood. It was trapezoidal in shape, and when we were taking it out, we found the date of 1917 on one of the pieces. On the other side of that piece of wood, that was the bottom layer of the bathroom walls, we found symbols that, when we looked it up, were the exploding bomb symbol from World War I. And as the residents came in to take a look, we learned that there was a munitions depot in Pueblo during World War I, and that the building had been made with those boxes that were ammunition boxes from World War I. The entire addition to the original room, which is the dining room here, was built with those boxes. Additionally, when we were tearing out the doorway to be able to fit appliances out, we uncovered an image of a Native American that was an illustration. We looked closer and it was glued onto the wall, and we didn't know what it was or what it meant, but it had been since covered up with walls and other things. We posted a picture of that on Facebook, and we received feedback that that was actually the wallpaper during the 50s. And one of the residents of Beulah sent us a link for an actual piece of that original wallpaper that they were selling online, and we bought it and framed it next to where we uncovered that image. The whole building has been a ton of surprises, and we've absolutely loved working on it, restoring it, and cleaning it with the intent of keeping the original features intact. This building is very important to the people of Beulah and important to me and to our family, and we wanted to make sure that we kept all of the character of the building and that we kept the historical parts about it and just made it clean and safe and healthy. And I feel that we've done that. As we proceeded with the licensing, we had to have our building inspections. We had to bring everything up to the 2022 codes, and we did. We worked really hard to tackle some of those just tough things, you know, plumbing and electrical items that were maybe done without permits before, or done incorrectly in the past, or had just expired. So we tackled the electric, we tackled plumbing, we tackled mechanical issues, and we ended up passing those inspections with flying colors, which is really great. Then we had our health inspection, and we had the health department come in and take a look, and they were really impressed with how clean it was and how well we had refinished it and made it functional within a small space. Our kitchen is extremely tiny, and we were able to get some appliances in there to maximize the space, and they felt that it looked pretty good, so we were excited. After that, we had to jump through a couple more hoops for the liquor license, but that came through as well. The Pueblo County employees have been really incredible. They've given us a ton of guidance, a ton of positive help, and they've really, really been great. The residents of Beulah have helped us out. It's been amazing when we're in a pinch. People just show up to help us. Beulah's like no other place. We had our first week, our grill, it was the last piece of original equipment, went bad. Our big griddle went bad, and it weighed hundreds of pounds. And I didn't even have to ask the town to help me take it out. Some residents showed up, they brought a trailer, and they helped us take it out and took it away. It's been really, really wonderful to be a part of such an encouraging, supportive community of creative, musical, artistic, hardworking people, and we're absolutely tickled to be included in that.
All right, so it's been 5 months since we've spoken with everyone last. Over those 5 months, we've completed all of the construction that we possibly could, had a ton of support from the community, helping us out, mainly with all of the licensing issues that we ran into. Being that our timeline had expired, we had nothing grandfathered. We had to start fresh and get everything up to code, which is very hard to do in a 120-year-old building. But everything has been done up to code. We've passed all of the inspections. The community truly stepped out and helped us out with getting everything pushed through. In fact, a few members have actually gone up to the county and spoke on our behalf and helped to get things pushed through. So couldn't have done it without the support of our community. And really, that's the people that we wanted to put this together for. Of course, we want people to come from all over, but really the heart of this building is the community. It is the people. And you'll see by the pictures that are on the wall, I didn't want to have pictures of buildings on this wall. I wanted to have pictures of the people of this town, of Beulah people, because that's really what this is first and foremost for. So it's been great to have them here. We opened about 2.5 weeks ago, and just hearing the laughter, hearing the stories, having all of the people turn out, that has been more than rewarding for us. That is the reminder of why we did this, why we've gone through all of the process, why we've gone through all of the struggles, all of the work. We did about 2 years of work in about 6 months, which is pretty impressive when you think about that. And it was all done for really to get this up and running, to bring this Beulah Inn resurrected back to life, and to get the community back in so that they can be in here and smile and tell amazing stories. Welcome to Mesa's Hole. This is the heart of the Beulah Inn. It's been my pet project, as this was really my dream to someday sit behind a bar that I own and be able to watch games with my friends. If you come to the Beulah Inn, there's probably a 95% chance you'll find me right here. We've had a lot of fun back here. In fact, a lot of the families that have done all of the brands have come back, and they've been so appreciative that we kept the brands, which of course we would keep the brands. I think they're the coolest part of the whole restaurant here. And in fact, so much so that we've put these brands on our menu. So all of the wood here that you see, where we've built the shelves, the wine racks, all of that is reclaimed wood that we've used from other areas of this project when we've had to reframe in windows, things along those. It's 100% reclaimed from this building. Our whole focus has been to preserve and protect the history of this building, not to change or move anything around. And so when the families come in and they're so appreciative that we kept the brands, we really feel that we're stewards of these brands and of this bar for the time that we have it, and want to make sure we leave it better than we found it. So of course we would preserve these, and so thankful for them. So please come in and see the brands and come say hi and have a drink with me. Crazy if you think about it. You bought it in April, so we're 8 months in. Yeah. Been open for a few months. We could not have done this without all of you. Seriously, we talk a lot about our mission is to preserve and protect the history and the character of our unique mountain town. That's our right there. That's our mission statement. Amen. And I appreciate everybody coming from out of town that have come and seen us. Thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. I do want to say, though, for the people of Beulah, you're the reason why we do this first and foremost. You are our number one. It is about history. It's about our family. Don't do it. You're getting me. You know how we going. You go, I go. To our family that's over there, Uncle Ray, everybody, it's funny because we asked Greta when we first started to do this, we said we want pictures of people, not buildings, people. Because the people make this town. The community makes this town. And I'm losing the mic. And it's really kind of fun to see the kites over here, and your picture over there, and Laura Ammon over there, and Bob. And it's just awesome to see the faces still here.
thank you for welcoming us into your community. It means the world to us. Last thing I'll say, I joke all the time that we sold the boat and the jet skis and all the toys, and we could be sitting back in our hot tub relaxing and all that stuff. And that is true, but what we don't have in Daytona Beach is we don't have all of you. We don't have this community who have supported us and loved us. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, thank you.
Am I cutting? All right. Yeah. Officially.
Okay, yeah, you stay first.